Some people think little girls should be seen or not heard, but I think I'm a punk girl. I'm a punk girl, not very nice. I'm a punk girl, don't need your advice. I'm a punk girl, quarrel with me mum. I'm a punk girl, stick it up your bum. I'm a punk girl, live in a squat. I'm a punk girl, eat me own snot. I'm a punk girl, chains and safety pins. I'm a punk girl, make me dresses out of bin. Liners, I'm a punk girl, mess up me hair. I'm a punk girl, cause I don't bloody care. I'm a punk girl, all you're looking at. I'm a punk girl, get lost, you prat. I'm a punk girl, know what I wanna be. I'm a punk girl, Anarchy. I'm a punk girl, don't know what it means. I'm a punk girl, but it's painted on me jeans. I'm a punk girl, nothing left to say. I'm a punk girl, A. And I love you, Johnny, yay. Hello, I'm Derek McLuckie, and I was part of the Paisley punk scene when punk came to Paisley from London in the 70s. A very exciting time. I remember we were on holiday in Great Yarmouth, which must have been about 1977, and Top of the Pops was on and the Sex Pistols were on, and it was really exciting and a complete contrast to everything else that was on Top of the Pops. There would be like youth club dances and stuff, and we started to go. We pogoed to Anarchy in the UK, and the whole disco was watching us, and they put a strobe on, so it was like we were pogoing in slow motion to this fantastic fucking music. It was great. So you either got set on fire by punk or you rejected it, and I was one of the lucky people that accepted it and got set on fire. It was fantastic. How did it feel to be dressed as a punk? Rebellious. I think it was drawing attention to ourselves. When you walk past people, you get reactions. I remember we walking past in Paisley, getting in a bus. We were going to a gig at the Bungalow, where all the punk gigs were. And we were sitting up at the back, which was a stupid fucking thing to do, because that's where all the trouble was. And two Neds got on, and I'd on a trench coat with Devo and stuff written on it. And one of them was like about 6 foot, and he had a big scar. And he said to me, "You look like a fucking robot." And he was telling me to look through the window, which meant they were going to batter my face through the window. And my mate got up and managed to get past them, so I get past them. And that was, things like that happened all the time in the punk days. It was violent, and the Neds didn't like us. And I think it was today where there was a lot of anti-Queen, anti-monarchy sentiment in the early days amongst punk rockers. It was exciting. You were part of this tribe that was against society. So there were risks with it. I nearly got caught a couple of times. I remember there was fights between the punk gangs, between the Paisley punks and the Glasgow punks. So even amongst punks there was fighting. It was a really violent time. But as I say, you felt rebellious and exciting and part of this tribe. And if you were part of it, you dressed like that. And it was an adventure. It was kind of adventure every time you went out, if you were going to gigs and things. My first real punk gig was the Stranglers in 1978 at the Apollo, Glasgow. And it was like a really big deal. And we all got really done up that night. There was about 20 people came from the village of Kilbarkin, which is away beside Johnson and Paisley. And we had food colouring and stuff splashed all over us. I was only 15 or 16. And we went in the bus up to Glasgow, and there was a great big queue right round the Apollo. And there was all these punks were older than us, and they looked amazing, and they had motorbike jackets all splashed with paint, and people had safety pins all through their ears and stuff like that. And when we went in, it was just like really exciting to hear the music. They played, before the band came on, they played Susie and the Banshees, Hong Kong Garden, which was just out, and it got a great big cheer and people were dancing in the aisles. I remember that first Stranglers gig, a really big deal, because this was the first band that we were going to see. We had some of their records, and they were a fantastic band, like really dark and heavy and sexy. And when you pogoed, we were up in the gods, you actually felt it moving under you like a big wave. How did it feel to see a punk band on stage for the first time? It felt amazing and just really exciting, and again that you were part of this rebellious, outrageous young tribe. And I suppose I was the kind of kid who'd never really fitted in places before, so suddenly you had this identity. And it was just, as I say, it was like you were on fire. It was fantastic, that first gig. A lot of the young punk guys were football fans, right? So they were singing and shouting as if it was a football match, and it was full. The Apollo was full, and I remember Hugh Cornwall saying, "Hey yous, this is no a football match," and it got a great big cheer and a laugh. I think there was too many people pogoing, so they sort of gave up. I think a couple of people did get chucked out for pogoing in the Gods. So that was my first punk gig, and it was fucking amazing, and I'll remember it until the day I die. Did punk help me come out as a gay man, or were the wheels already in motion? Well, it's a bit of both, I think. I remember that first Stranglers gig, going with my pals going to meet another mate at his house to get the bus up to the Glasgow at the Apollo, and his big brother came to the door, and he looked fucking amazing, and he was the first beautiful punk. And you watch people like Susie, who was no feminine in a pretty, girly way. She was really striking and fierce, but still like really feminine. And that was a quality that I really wanted and idolised, and I think has become part of my artistic work as I've got older. I had fledgling gay affairs with two of my best pals, and the backdrop was punk rock. There wasn't any acceptance. Despite the fact that Tom Robinson had Sing If You're Glad to Begin, because of bands like that, you were open to the fact that there were other outsiders in the world, and as punks you kind of felt an alliance with that. But it was just very homophobic times. It hadn't been assimilated into culture in the way that it is nowadays. It was still very much in the fringes. And as I say, you'd internalised that homophobia, and you were in denial about who you were and what you were, or I was anyway. The original punk rockers, if you like Susie and Billy Idol in Berlin, who was gay, that would have been accepted amongst them, but that was a London arty-farty elite. It wasn't like out in the fucking housing schemes in Paisley and Glasgow where punk reached. We got the music and the fashion, and you were turned on and excited by all that, but you still didn't know what it was to really be gay. I was accepted by my first close group of friends who were punk rockers, but we went into the scene. It was like I had to be reintroduced to the other groups, and then they would accept you when they knew you a bit. But at first it was like, oh, what are you talking to him for? He's a poofer, he's queer, and all the rest of it. Part of that era, all the cool people sniffed glue. There was all that going on as well in the parks, and we used to go to a place called the Old School in Kilbarchan, and that was part of the kind of punk rebellion. You went and you did all these stupid things like sniffing glue, and made amazing hallucinations, and I used to fall in love with these two particular boys again and again on the glue, and probably really stupid, don't fucking sniff glue. I mean, there was a time that it became like really unfashionable, but I think the punk spirit stays with you. Sometimes if I'm at my lowest ebb and I've got to do gigs or whatever, the punk edge, and I'll fucking do it. I don't care what people think, that I make my own art, and I don't need anybody's authority to do it.
And the tons of raw sewage being pumped into the fucking sea. So what I'm trying to say is, us British, we are still the best. We are the best at being fucking shite, ain't we? Yeah.
I know that I still love the music and get excited by it, and it makes me feel young again when I listen to it. And no in a old-timer sense, it's just the energy is still there and you can tap into it. So yeah, the punk spirit impacted me and has stayed with me throughout my life, and I shall be eternally grateful.
It's a thin line between love and hate. He also serves who stands and waits.